Good afternoon, everyone. Welcome back to our normal scheduled live stream at PBTV. I'm Stu, and we are live on YouTube and Facebook. So these landed with us yesterday. We've just managed to get them out and start processing them. But these are the new VORSK Vengeance custom works, they're calling them. Hi-Capa series. First impressions have been really good. We'll go through all the features and everything like that. I've got the BDS one as well, so we can have a quick look. But if there's any questions on these all, if you've been curious about them, if you're curious about VORSK at all, any questions at all, just drop them down below. We'll flash them up on screen and we'll make sure you get your question answered as quickly as possible. So, these things are sort of a little bit more sleek and straightforward than some of the other VORSK ones out there. You can get everything from the absolute super basic to the big sort of Dragon 7 split slides and all the bells and whistles and tricks that it can do. Looking at this out of the box, this has been built to be more in that sort of central space of being a fully functioning sidearm and then dipping its toe into something a little bit more special in the idea of it could be a primary, it could be an open class target pistol or anything like that, all possible. So we'll go through a few of the bits and bats that it has, but first of all, it does come in a very cool little box that can double as a case because it is magnetized, so you don't have to split it open or everything. There are a couple of magnets on the box, opens up and you get yourself a patch, an instruction manual, some spare nozzles and parts and everything like that, purely to swap to CO2. We'll come on to that in a bit, and obviously there is a cutout for the platform and the magazine in there. So we'll put that to one side and we'll come back to the iron sight version of the VORSK Vengeance. So these do come in a plethora of different colours, from tan, black and grey. There is pre-two-tone colours, so pre-done red slide, pre-done blue slide, so you don't have to wait for it to be painted or anything like that. You can just get them straight away, whether or not you've got a defence or not. There is one of these available for you. The grey-black one caught my eye immediately. I do really like the way that they've put that together. But so off the bat, you don't find this with a lot of small platforms. It does have the adapter in the box with it, so you don't have to buy anything extra. You can stick your Spitfire, your tracer unit, anything else on the front of this straight away. It goes from a 12mm on the platform to a 14mm counterclockwise on the adapter, and there is a thread protector on here. So for example, if you're not wanting to lose your adapter and you're not wanting to damage your threads whilst using it without the tracer unit on there, just stick the thread adapter, the thread cover on here, and it just stops it getting dinked, and as soon as a little chip or anything hits that, it's going to be very difficult to clean it up. It has got an O-ring in there as well, so when this thing is on there, it has got a natural grip to it, so it isn't going to undo or loosen as you're running around and this thing's racking away. So cuttings and serrations and everything like that, they've put a few speed holes or lightning holes in the top and a few on the side. But cuttings and serrations wide, there's plenty on the front and there's some on the back. They are quite deep, making it very easy to get a good purchase on this, just to get that first round in there and get your first shot down range. Most of it is kind of for show and for look, but again, the more cuttings and everything they do, it does lighten the slide. The first thing I did notice is the slide and the movement on this. It does feel very lightweight compared to a lot of other similar platforms out there. The big heavy slides can make it a little bit more inefficient, but having tested this before going live, it is very hot today. I think most people know how hot it is, so I think we've had a little bit of a bias chrono out of this before going live, because even on New Pro 1.0, this thing was doing about 330 FPS. So when this gets back to a normal sort of ambient temperature, we will test it again, and we'll make sure we're getting a genuine, accurate UK chrono measurement for it. But in weather like this, the 1.0, it was snappy, it was consistent, it was really good. If you start going up to the new V6, V8, V12, you're probably going to be hot in weather like this, so stick to that V6, V8, and it does run and function really well. Underneath, we do have the normal 20mm rail that has become a stable platform over a lot of Hi-Capa platforms. So you can stick your torches on there, making this quite easily a very good platform for a primary. Sorry, get my words out. Coming back to the trigger guard, you will see there is a little cutout out there. Again, it's just purely for reference, making sure your grip can be very, very similar and the same every time you draw it. And the mag release actually has a little extended button on it. You can unscrew that if it's not something that you're keen on, so you can take that off. So again, like most Hi-Capas, the mag release is left-handed, and it does bring out a slightly different Hi-Cap magazine to what has been seen standard. It's got more of the Army Armament style Terran Tactical look to the bottom of it, just slightly different, and it does mean that when you are using the flared magwell, it does stick out a little bit, but it does mean it's a lot easier to pull it out manually rather than letting this thing drop and hit the deck. Do VORSK Raven still have bad quality control? Not from what we've seen with these. Normally, the concept of bad quality control or anything like that people are seeing out in the field is beyond, because there are a lot of them out there. So if you have 100 or 200 or 1,000 of these platforms out there, and a few of them break compared to another platform that has only sold 10 to 20 and only one of them breaks, it's a percentile of it coming back rather than it being the actual item itself. But after firing this, I was very, very pleasantly surprised with when I put in this through the chrono and putting it down the range. It's super consistent. The slide is super fast on its reset compared to a lot of Hi-Capas that I've seen before. The only thing that sort of put me off slightly is the stippling. It's not really stippling. So this is a molded grip. So normally with stippling like this, I prefer, if you have a stippled grip, it almost wants to be so aggressive you don't want to grab this without gloves on. This is a little bit smooth and a little bit more like a snakeskin style feel compared to actual stippling. And I think it's just the way it's been molded. It's not quite aggressive enough for me when it comes to actual grip. Wait, are VORSK and Raven the partners? I don't know what you mean. So LJ Perkins, if you just rephrase that, what do you mean by that? VORSK and Raven, the partners. So this is the VORSK Vengeance and the magazine. Is there a particular holster for this? That's Paul Eastwood on Facebook. So any Hi-Capa holster this will drop into. Just be aware, because it's got the rail section at the bottom, you need to make sure the holster can accept the rail, not necessarily a torch or anything like that. But what it does mean is this lower part is slightly wider and slightly thicker than normal unrailed Hi-Capas. So your retention holsters, this will drop straight in. Fabric ones, there's probably the 8 Fils Kydex this will drop straight into. The only way that this won't fit in a holster is if we get the other variant out, which is the BDS version. So the BDS version is simply a rail section that's been attached to the holes that are pre-drilled into both platforms. So it comes pre-fitted, it's in the box, as is like this if you want the BDS version, and then the doctor sight just sits on a bit of rail on the top. Sorry, it's not a bit of rail. On this one, it does actually bolt straight in, so it's not a RIS compatible doctor sight. There isn't a RIS section, it just screws straight into the mount. And again, it's got buttons on the left-hand side for on-off brightness. You can zero it, elevation, and windage, and it just does mean that with the brightness settings, it's really, really good outdoors and indoors. When it's super bright, you want to kick that brightness up so it is brighter than the ambient light around you. And again, when you go indoors and it's really, really dark, you want to drop it really, really low so that it's a very, very faint and you're not just seeing the dot and it's blocking your vision. So apart from that, with the standard version, if you're not looking at the BDS, you do have a fibre front sight and sort of standard fibre rear sights. The rear sight is adjustable via the screw at the back, meaning the windage is slightly adjustable. But the front one is fixed. With it being a fibre sight, when the light does hit this, it just directs it all backwards. It gives you a nice, clean, bright green dot at the back, making it very, very easy in most conditions to find that dot. The hammer itself, very, very thin and skeletonized, making it lightweight, and I think that's what's helping the slide when it comes and recocks it. And when it is back, you do have a safety that clicks up, and that actually locks the slide in place, so you can't then rack it back at all. With that down, you then do have a standard beaver tail style safety. So when you press on this, that is what releases the safety and allows the trigger to function. You do have a very thin skeletonized trigger, which is a straight pull back. So when it is coming back, and I've got both of these pressed, it is a straight pull, so it's not a lever style trigger, it is a straight pull back trigger. Slightly prefer them. It's easier to get a reset on personally. Some people prefer them the other way. So for those guys that are just joining, I'll just do a quick overview again of what we've been looking at. So this is the VORSK Vengeance. We've looked at this, and we've looked at the BDS variant of it. So this is the black variant. You can get this in sort of what they're calling a bronze and tan, but it's more like a brown and a tan, a black and a grey. There is a pre-two-toned red and a pre-two-toned blue version. So if you don't want to have one of these painted and you just want to get it ASAP, you can do. So you do have a 12 to 14 mil thread on the front of it for your tracer units, and there is a thread adapter on there. If you're not going to use it, you can either leave the thread adapter on, or you can just take it off completely and leave it in the box. There are a load of serrations and cuttings in this to keep the rail quite lightweight. And you do have the 20 mil rail section on the bottom in case you are wanting torches, accessories, or anything like that. Especially if you're just using this as a primary and you're in CQB, you want to try and trick this up as much as you can. It does have an extended and a widened mag release. There is a little button on there. You can unscrew it and take that off if it's a little bit too wide, or if it's catching or fouling on your holsters. You can take that off and it is fine. As we were saying earlier, the only bit that I was really, really keen on this, putting it through the chrono. It was really snappy. I mean, we're getting semi-biased results with the heat and the weather, making this almost overperform. I mean, with the V8 and the VIL-12, it is slightly hot, but with the New Pro 1.0, it's around 330 FPS. But the reset was really nice. The trigger's really nice. The only bit I don't like is this style grip. I was saying earlier that I prefer this type of stippling to be really, really aggressive, whereas this is more like a molding, and it's not really going to benefit grip, I don't think, unless you've got a glove on. I think it's a little bit of a downside. Can you change the grips on this all? So with Hi-Capas, normally it's not the grip that you change, it is actually the lower. So if they are compatible, you probably can change the lowers. So the lower comes in so the entire thing comes in 3 parts. You have the slide, the midsection, and the grip. So the grip comes all the way and takes the trigger guard and a little bit up here. So we will have to check to see what compatibilities are like. But if they are compatible with some others, the grips will be changeable. If not, it is a rubberized plastic, so you could just re-stipple it and make this absolutely fine. Most people prefer to do the stippling themselves because they get it exactly how they like, not how someone's produced it for them. Coming down, you do have the flared magwell. Again, this is purely for when you are getting that next mag in. You're a little bit more forgiving in the direction that it comes in, and then it clicks and locks in place. And you do have that sort of semi-extended mag with the finger grips in there. So if you are trying to pull this out naturally, you do get a decent purchase on it. So you've got the fibre front and the standard rear sight. The rear sight does have an elevation adjustment on it. If you do go for the other variant, you've got the BDS dot sight that has elevation and windage via a screw, and the on-off is by pressing both or one, and then you've got increased brightness and decreased brightness on either side. Just be aware with the BDS, it is quite a high-rised mount, so you do have quite a distance between bore axis and where you're shooting, so you will have to zero this very, very accurately to make it more consistent. But, I mean, I'm genuinely surprised with this when I've got it out of the box. I've tested plenty of platforms like this before. It's a little bit sleeker, it's a little bit nicer, it's got some nice touches to it. I just wish that grip was a little bit more grippy, if that makes sense. It's just like a molded finish rather than an actual stippled one. But the slide's really nice, the reset's really nice, the trigger's really nice. Consistency FPS was really, really good. But yeah, I think this is going to be quite popular if people get their hands on it. Do you have any plans to get Hi-Capa upgrade parts like charging handles or optic mounts? So if that's Joshua on YouTube. If you go back on YouTube for a little bit and find our workshop podcast that we did, I sat down with our workshop manager, Mark, and spoke about a few future plans. One of them, starting off, is a brand new AEG build of some sort that's still in the works and in the plans. And also, we do have in our workshop a very, very highly experienced practical pistol shooter who has more knowledge on Hi-Capas than I will probably ever know, and it is something that we would love to do, but it is down the lines, and it's not probably going to happen anytime soon. But if there's anything specific you're after or advice you're wanting, especially on Hi-Capas or race pistols or practical shooting, drop an email. They will have all the knowledge that you could possibly imagine, way beyond anything I could probably talk about. But if that's everything for today, this is the VORSK Vengeance. We'll hopefully see these on the field extremely soon. I am genuinely surprised with them that they've performed so well compared to some other platforms out there, and hopefully we see these become a solid regular. But if that's everything, we will catch you again at 4 p.m. tomorrow for another standard live stream. As always, if there's something you want us to touch on, drop us a message on Instagram and we'll probably throw it to the top of the list. But if that's everything, I'll see you in a bit.